Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to identify a part of that race that might be looked back on later as a path to finding the winner. Well, some interesting racing at the mixed meeting this Sunday at Sha Tin. The first race I'm going to take a look at is race 9, where our winning factor is the sectionals. And this is, to me, as interesting a race as we have on the entire card. There will be arguments made for winner method coming back down in class, Decrypt having his first run for new trainer Pierre, and I think quadruple double is a chance as the likely leader under a very light handicap, despite some stamina questions at 1400 metres. But for me, this race is all about what we're going to see from Circuit 9 as he resumes for the season. Why is that? Well, this horse was unbeaten in 2 runs as a Griffin last season. He now returns. Those races were over 1,000 and 1,200 metres. He now returns at 1,400 metres, which should suit him even further. But let's first of all take a look at the latest of his victories. And this is, of course, back to last season, race 682. He's the grey horse in yellow, orange and white colours. And Circuit 9 is not the fastest out of the gates, but he begins okay and is in the middle of the small field in what is quite a slowly run 1,200 metres. Now, Matthew Chadwick's focus throughout is to have his horse just travelling and trust his talent. And that talent does get a little bit of a test as the leaders don't spend much energy at all mid-race before sprinting from the 400 metres. But we see Circuit 9 gathers himself up, goes after the leader, and he finishes deceptively fast without a whole lot of riding to get over the front runner near the line. Now on Sunday, Circuit 9 not only resumes for a new season, but he makes the graduation from Griffin races to open age racing. Now Griffin races, for those new to Hong Kong, well, they're set weights races, age races, and they're basically Northern Hemisphere 3-year-olds racing against Southern Hemisphere 2-year-olds most of the time. And because they're age-based, you can get a wide variation in the quality of the runners in these races from one race to the next and from one season to another. So Griffin races, you never know quite what you're going to get. And I've taken a look back at some of our more recent Griffin seasons. This is the last 5 years of Griffin graduates. These are the horses that won Griffin races and how they fared when they went in against the open age horses. Now, it's really a mixed bag. I've highlighted some of the ones who went on to be top level performers, and there's a leaning there towards a successful graduation. But as you see, 2 of our current up-and-coming stars, Cordyceps 6 was beaten in Class 4 when he went into open age, and California Spangle was beaten in Class 3. And there are some others there who became Class 3 or Class 2 winners later, but also met defeat at their initial attempt. So expected winners versus the winners only leans slightly to successful outcomes. So on the basis of that table and those past results, really difficult to make a definitive call. However, the thing that drew me into Circuit 9 is that he had that terrific finishing speed. Now, I said he was deceptively fast at the finish. He ran the fastest last 400 metres of the entire meeting that day, something he'd also done at his first start win. And that isn't something that we often see from the Griffins. In fact, when he won that second time, he carried 133 pounds to run the fastest last 400 metres of the day. The second fastest was from Cordyceps 6, soon to be one of our best sprinters, and he carried 20 pounds less in the saddle. So there's certainly a lot to be said for that finishing speed. Now, as I said, both his runs, he was the fastest last 400 metres of the day, and I really can't find another Griffin who has done that. If you look at dominant Griffin horses like Athero, Hot King Prawn, Luger, there are quite a few others, they weren't able to do it. And of course, recently, Cordyceps 6 and California Spangle. Now, Pakistan Star, he did run the best last 400 metres of the day as a Griffin, and he only had the one attempt in that class. So that's the sort of quality that we're talking about here, a Griffin being able to run the fastest of the day over the final 400 metres, and that's something that draws me in to this horse, Circuit 9. Now he resumes over 1400 metres on Sunday, the furthest distance he's run, but I think it's a race where the tempo will allow run-on horses to get into the race. I've described the pace here as average, but it may be quicker than that. There's some speed drawn wider in Winner Method, Red Titan and Killandini, even Beauty Champ if he's ridden aggressively, but quadruple double in Gate 4 with only 111 pounds in the saddle for apprentice Angus Chung is much faster than any of them, but also a distance query, and I think that is going to colour the approach of his rival jockeys. I think they'll recognise both of those things and not even attempt to compete with him in the early stages. But a true pace looks assured. Where will Circuit 9 be? Well, probably wherever he feels like being, as that's the kind of horse he is, and that's how Chadwick has ridden him so far. Pakistan Star style, where the horse pretty much decides where he's going to settle, and he may be giving away a very big start into the final 400 metres. But the tip for me in race 9 is Circuit 9, his winning factor, the sectionals. Now there's nothing on that map that I showed you that's working for him except a decent speed, and if I showed you his barrier trials you'd think he wouldn't win a race anywhere because he's a very lazy horse, but I think even with your heart in your mouth over the final 400 metres, you should put some trust in his ability to run those fast sectionals here and get himself out of trouble. The other race I want to take a look at on Sunday is, of course, the final race, race 10, and our winning factor here, the map. This is a nice standard Class 2 to finish the day, but I don't see a wide spread of chances. There may be some fans for the likes of Sylvest and the Golden Scenery, but for me the race revolves around one of last season's better 4-year-olds, Navis 2, and two horses returning this season at 4 with designs on the Classic Series early in 2023, and that's Keefe and Galaxy Witness. First of all, to Navis 2, the only one of the 3 horses who has had a race this season, and that is his edge at this stage. We're going to race 46, and in red and yellow colours with a black cap, Navis 2 jumps well from Gate 2 and gets a great run through the race for Ruan Meyer, even edging up the fence around the turn into the straight, and he actually looks the winner in running. But when they do straighten up, others have better acceleration. Navis 2 just grinds it out over the 1200 metres, and although he's not going away in the run down to the line, he's not really threatening to win the race either. So he may just have needed the run, he may have found the 1200 metres too short, but either way, he's had the run now, and he goes to 1400 metres on Sunday, a distance at which his 3 previous successes have come. So he's got those things in his favour. But let's take a look at the quality of these year younger horses that are going to line up against him. Firstly, we're going back to race 627 last season, and in yellow and red colours here, Galaxy Witness jumps well, lands in a great spot sitting 5th, behind what was a fairly modest tempo as you see on the heat map, and the leader gets a big rest rounding the home turn before launching a very quick sprint down the final 400 metres. But Galaxy Witness, he's well up to that sprint. He gives away the start, but he's overhauling his very smart opponent over the final stages and putting a gap on the rest. Now, he was subsequently beaten as a hot favourite over 1600 metres at his next run, and it may be that perhaps the distance was too much for him at that stage of his life, or that he'd come to the end of his campaign. Either way, Casper Found sent him for a break in June, while the other horse that we're looking at here, Keefe, he was also a 3-year-old, but raced through right to the end of the season. He won in Class 3 very well, and then he also suffered an honourable defeat. This is race 816. He's in white colours here, and he gets a lovely run in 5th place, Keefe. The pace is quite even, but the heat map shows that the leaders do quicken up from the 800 metres to the 400 metres. So Keefe, with his 134 pounds of top weight, has to carry that weight from a fair way out to stay in touch before the race becomes a very solid slog down the straight. The 3-year-old Keefe, well, he isn't able to get past the smart Circuit Stella after giving him a start from the 400 metres and also a 10-pound weight pull. But this is a run full of merit from a horse of 3 years old in that grade, and you'll see Navis 2 here, a rival on Sunday, finishing a respectful distance away in third placing. So those are our 3 contenders, but I made the winning factor on this race the map for a very good reason. So let's have a look at it. This is a classic case of the map factor, a map that not only suits the horse that we're going to tip, but at the expense of the other chances. Galaxy Witness looks to land again straight behind what appears a genuine enough speed from his inside gate, while the others I've identified as dangers. The Golden Scenery is going to get a long way back, while Navis 2, Sauveste and Keefe all have problematic trips in store from wide barriers. So the tip for me in race 10 is Galaxy Witness. His winning factor, the map. Now he may well turn out to be the best horse in this race anyway, and he's getting weight from pretty much all of the field. So they're things in his favour, but when you consider that he's going to get a perfect trip while his main rivals all have issues to overcome, I think that really swings things his way. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. We'll see you next time.